history of Magadha. Kal Ashoka's sons, according to the traditional list, were 10 in number, but no details about them are known yet. Kal Ashoka was brutally murdered by the founder of the Nanda line, and the Shishunaga dynasty ceased to rule. Moving to the next, Nanda dynasty. The dynasty lasted from 345 BC to 321 BC. Mahapadmananda, the first king of the Nanda dynasty, added Kalinga to the Magadhan Empire. He was considered to be so powerful and ruthless that even Alexander the Great did not wish to fight against him. The Nanda dynasty became immensely wealthy. They started irrigation projects and standardized trade measures across the kingdom. But harsh and inflexible taxation system, however, made the Nandas unpopular. The last king, Dhanananda, was overthrown by Chandragupta Maurya. Moving to the next topic, Republic of Ancient India. In the ancient India, the Republic was a state in which there was no dynasty and the traditional king. In these states, the entire power of the state was in the hands of people. Kautilya has written in the Economics that every person in the Republican considered himself as a king, was neither a big nor equal. In order to run governance and the government, qualified representatives and individuals were selected. According to the Buddhist literature, the 6th century East India was the low republic of the India. Now moving to the next topic, Vaishali, Vajji state. Vaishali, the world's first republic. Vijay was a republic in Mahajanapada in modern day Bihar. Its capital was Vaishali and it was run by Ganas or Shangas. There were hundreds of members in a Sangha and each were known as a Raja. All those members got together to decide the important matters of the state. Women and slaves were not allowed to be the part of these assemblies. Buddha and Mahavira were both part of Ganas or Sanghas, and Buddhist books specifically talk about the working of Sanghas, if you remember then. Many powerful Rajas tried but failed to conquer the Sanghas, and although the Guptas did conquer them, and it only happened much later. Talking about the agriculture and the changes in the agriculture that took place over that time, there were two major changes in the agriculture around this time. One was the growing use of iron plowshare. These meant that heavy clayey soil could be turned over better than with a wooden plowshare, so that the more grains could be produced. Second, people began transplanting paddy. This means that instead of scattering seeds on the ground from which the plant would sprout, saplings were grown and then planted in the fields. These lead to increased production as many more plants survived. However, it was back-breaking work. Generally, slave men and women and landless agriculture workers or laborers had to do this kind of work. Forts. Forts were probably built because people were afraid of attacks from the other kings and needed protection. It is likely that some rulers wanted to show how rich and powerful they were by building really large, tall, and impressive walls around their cities. Also, in this way, the land and the people living inside the fortified areas could be controlled more easily by the kings. Building such huge walls required a great deal of planning. Thousands, if not lakhs of bricks or stones had to be prepared. This in turn meant enormous labor provided possibly by thousands of men, women, and children. And the resources had to be found for all of this. Moving to the next topic, tax. As the rulers of Mahajanapadas were building huge forts and maintaining big armies, they needed more resources for the same, and they needed the officials to collect this. So instead of depending on occasional gifts brought by the people, as in the case of the Rajas of the Janapadas, they started collecting regular taxes. Taxes on crops were the most important. This was because most of the people were farmers. Usually the tax was fixed at 1/6 of what was produced. This was known as bhaga or a share. There were taxes on craftsperson as well. This could have been in the form of labor. For example, a weaver or a smith may have had to work for a day every month for the king. Hoarderers were also expected to pay taxes in the form of animals and animal produce. There were also taxes on goods that were bought and sold through trade. And the hunters and gatherers also had to provide forest produce to the Raja. I hope all of you might have got the chapter thoroughly, and if not, please refer the video once again. Thank you and have a nice day ahead.